Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another Six Nations live stream. This one, Ireland versus Italy, the final game in round 2 of the Six Nations. Now, this round has been full of interesting games, some controversy, just the way that a lot of people like it. Well, a lot of people don't like it. This is the way that the current table sits. The English are sitting in number 1 with the 8 points. Ireland, after a very successful game up against France in round number 1, find themselves sitting in second on the 5 points. Scotland, they were defeated by France on paper by just a narrow score. They are sitting on 5. France have got themselves their first win of the Six Nations comp, so they are moving up into 4th. Wales in 5th, receiving that bonus point for being within the 7 of the English. And then Italy, they have matched how many points they managed to score throughout the 2023 Six Nations competition. Now I'll be looking to build from that. But at the Aviva, it is going to be a very tough day at the office. Looking through at the starting lineup for the Irish, it will be Andrew Porter at number 1, Dan Sheehan at 2, and Finlay Bealham gets the opportunity to start at number 3. Joe McCarthy, the man of the match from the Ireland versus France opening fixture in the Six Nations. James Ryan comes back into the starting side. He will be the starting number 5. Ryan Beard at 6. Caelan Doris number 7 and Jack Conan at number 8. So they have not got Josh Van den Flower in the starting lineup. In fact, Doris making that switch from playing at number 7, from normally playing at number 8 to now being there at number 7. Also no Peter O'Mahony for this contest in the starting side for the Irish. Craig Casey starts at 9 with Jack Crowley at 10. Stuart McCloskey in the midfield alongside Robbie Henshaw. So no Bundy Arkey. Then James Lowe, Kelvin Nash and Hugo Keenan. The same 3 at the back as they did have for their last game. And I need to mention that James Lowe kicking boot was absolutely lethal in the last contest up against France, forcing the French back into their own territory, which then allowed Ireland to really flourish throughout their first game. Fischetti, Lucchesi and also Cesarelli will be the front row. Canoni there at 4 with Ruza as the number 5. Quite a change in the loose forward trio. They have lost 2 out of their 3 players. No Sebastian Negri. Also, they have got no Canoni at 8. And instead is Ezekiel at number 6. Zuliani number 7 and Mikel Lamaro goes in to that number 8 spot. Stephen Varney and Paulo Garbisi, the 19 combo. Then Minocello in the midfield alongside Juan Inesio Brex. Montejoani, Pani out on the right, and Capuzzo comes into the starting side rather than Tommaso Element. In the chat we have got there 11 minutes away from the kickoff and coverage in the US hasn't started yet. Says Gus, I got Italy for the upset. Says smoking RSA every day. Will Ireland go to the top if they win? So currently the way that they sit, they are on the 5 points. England at the top of the table are on 8. So even if Ireland were to win this game by 1 point without a bonus point win, they will still take number 1 on the overall table. So there is a lot on the line here for Ireland. Of course, they want to make sure that they are stepping up as well as they can. The door has been now open wide for Ireland to get a really good lead in this Six Nations competition. Now, I should mention their next game is going to be in 2 weeks' time. That is up against the Welsh. Then they have got the English in another 2 weeks after that. And then Scotland as their final match. Not to mention, of course, their games up against the Springboks that are taking place throughout July as well. We are good there. Good morning, Hamish. Scotland was robbed of a victory. I've watched the highlights. There was a clear-cut try, says Morning Lagrange, and it certainly changes the way that the Six Nations table sits because theoretically there was a chance that that last game between Ireland and Scotland was going to be a decider. Now, of course, we were a long way from that. Scotland would still need to get themselves victories over the English as well as the Italians, but they would have backed themselves to go far in the comp, so they were very unlucky. That score, as you can see, 16 points to 20 in favour of the away side France. England, actually the first side in the Six Nations for 2023 to actually pick up a win at home. It has been a hard competition to get home wins. Seen away sides picking up a lot of victories, but the English breaking that chain. But the next round of the Six Nations as well, while we are at it, like I said, there is a 2-week break, but it will be France versus Italy on the Monday morning, New Zealand time, and then Ireland, Wales, and England, Scotland as the other 2 matchups. Who is refereeing this match? I haven't seen yet, but as soon as we see, of course, we will let you know. And hi, says Power for you. Welcome in. Scotland unlucky. Says West Side. And hi, everyone. Step for your Hamish. There has never been back-to-back Grand Slams in the Six Nations. Says Jimbo. So Ireland are definitely looking to do just that. Like I said, the door's been wide open for them. And it's even wider than it's ever been now with that last game between Scotland and France. Now, England are the only other contenders that are really looking to cause that upset. Of course, Italy, I'd love to be able to get involved the way that they did up against the English because they were relatively strong throughout that matchup. Were they strong enough for the victory? Some would argue yes, but this is away from home. Italy always perform when they are on their own soil, but when they are away from home, that is where it is extremely tricky. We have good there. I can't wait for the match. There's Power for you. Let's hope Ireland go back to back. Says Fionn, and what were your views of that try? Was it a try, yes or no? Well, I would like to think that common sense would have played a factor in the overall decision because we did actually see originally Nick Berry was willing to overturn his decision. He saw the replays and he said, yep, I'm happy enough to overturn my decision. I believe that's a try. Then the TMO, once again, showing in rugby that the TMOs have way more power in a game over the referees. He said, no, I want to have a look at that 15 more times. I don't see a clear grounding. I don't use my common sense because it does look like he's over the line. But because I haven't got clear, conclusive evidence, I'm not going to give it as a try. And I'm going to give Ireland the Grand Slam. But no, it's not quite that serious, but it could end up that way. Unfortunately, the Lords, together with TMO, aren't really improving matters. The last Scotland disallowed try, very controversial, says Stephen. And also, another law that got a little bit exposed throughout that game between Scotland and France was the kicking law. The fact that the players all have to stand around while they wait to be put on side. It got kind of exposed as a rule that needs another wee look because it just didn't look right when players are all standing still, waiting 10 seconds, and then they go, now you can charge him. And common sense is not really, or is not nearly as common as we would like, says Gus. And it's the same with yellow cards and red cards, of course. You do see quite a few of those that shouldn't be, but they are given because they read it off the rule book rather than looking at the scenario that took place. But this is the scenario of round number 1. Ladies and gentlemen, Ireland getting themselves to a 21-point victory over the French. It was one of the most dominant games we saw during round number 1, by far the most one-sided, and Ireland getting their Six Nations off to a bang. They made quite a few changes in this lineup. No Bundyaki, like I mentioned. Also, change at number 9 with Craig Casey starting. Conan comes in rather than Josh Van den Flair. No Peter O'Mahony. They've changed quite a bit here, but I don't think it's going to be necessarily bad for Ireland. They love trying to test out their depth. It looks like it's actually going to be Matthew Raynell more than likely in charge of this one. And if he's not in charge, he more than likely will at least be an assistant referee for the matchup. Yeah, 2 very close games between England and Italy, as well as Wales and Scotland for those other 2 games that did end up taking place. Come on, Ireland, says Power for you. Currently, the players all getting introduced. And we will, of course, have the national anthems, and then we are ready to go for this matchup. Referee or French refereeing crew today. Our style will count. Says Jimbo, and come on, Ireland, says Fionn. Andrew Porter, big chance for him lining up to be number 1 here. Who do you the Six Nations title? I assume that's who do I think will win the Six Nations title, and I've said it from the get-go that I believe Ireland will go back-to-back. Now, the Grand Slam is certainly still on the cards for the Irish. I think that their toughest task, or their 2 toughest tasks, are going to be England as well as Scotland, and those are the last 2 games that the Irish have got for themselves. I will enjoy the game. See, there's Brian in there. Yeah, hopefully it is going to be a very good one. I'll be honest, first 2 games of this round in the Six Nations, I think a lot of people would agree, not quite the same feel as we saw throughout round number 1. Unfortunately, there have been a lot more stop-start scenarios, a lot of TMO interference. Hopefully this game is free-flying because that is normally when Ireland are the most dangerous Ireland back-to-back champions. Says Connor and Irish to win by 50 or 40 points. Shame. 50 is not good enough, says Gordon. And there as well. But looking through at the bench For the Irish, of course, we mentioned about those changes that weren't going to be taking place in the starting lineup. Now, quite a few of those men are actually going to be coming off the bench. Ronan Kelleher at number 16 with Jeremy Luckman as well as Tom O'Toole. Ian Henderson at number 19 with Josh Van den Vlaar as a replacement. Number 20, Jamison Gibson-Park, Harry Byrne and Jordan Lama will be the back three replacements for the Italians. Nicotera, Spagnoli, and also it is Zolochi at number 18, Zambanin at 19, and Vincent at number 20, Pagerello at 21. Tommaso Allen will be coming off the bench for the Italians at 22, and then Maury there at 23 to close out what is a relatively strong Italian bench. And to be honest, this Italian side, they're coming a long way. I feel like ever since that World Cup, we slowly saw improvements, and hopefully that is the case in this matchup, but it's going to be a massive test for them going head-to-head up against an Irish side that don't really look like losing a game anytime soon. Joss has said, evening Amish. Some debatable decisions last night. Sadly, the team was getting the chat focus, not the rugby. Thanks for the commentary, mate. Says Joss. It is good to see you once again here. Come on, the boys in green. Says Richard Hardley, why is England playing like this? Always winning by a small margin. Scott Robinson will not have any sleepless nights. Says Mornay the Grange. I mean, talking about a side, Mornay, that is winning by the smallest of margins. Did you not see the World Cup for the defending champions? I know that you are South African, so that's the only reason that I bring it up. But yeah, I mean, they're not quite doing the one-pointers that the Springboks did throughout that most recent World Cup competition. We have Go High Hamish Bro, says Michelle. And also, England never really easy to beat no matter how they play. Twickers will be the challenge, says Jimbo. And there, but a lot of passion being sung in this Italian national anthem. Mikel Amaro leaning forward, fired up, pretty much headbutting his teammate's shoulder, going, I am ready to go to battle with this Irish side. And that is the kind of passion that the Italians need. They cannot afford to get complacent, even though it is hard to be complacent when you are sitting bottom of the table. But when they think that they're getting better, that is when sometimes you can go backwards. So they have to make sure that they don't underestimate what kind of game this is. This is a massive chance for the Italians to really show what they can do up against a top Irish side. And yes, they have made changes, but they are still definitely an impressive Irish team. Robbie Henshaw will be playing 13 once more. I should mention that is due to Gary Ringrose being unavailable at this point, but they are just showing Joe McCarthy there as well, a man who really stepped up throughout the first game of the Six Nations competition. But do let me know, ladies and gents, what is your score prediction for this matchup? Will it be the Irish walking away with a large winning margin, or can the Italians cause a bit of an upset, even if that doesn't mean that they get themselves a win? Can they be closer in this game than a lot have anticipated? A calm start from Crowley is essential, says Jimbo. And to be honest, this game up against France, I think he really stepped up. A lot of people felt that the replacement for Sexton, it wasn't going to be too easy, but he did look like he had played that role quite a bit for Ireland in the past. And hey, everyone, been missing everyone, says Aiden, so it is good to have you back. And 4 tries for the Irish, says Jimbo. And there as well in this community, says Aiden, but they are currently singing the Irish national anthem. And the Aviva is certainly rocking. Looks like a sellout for this matchup. Ireland should take this, but we should see some good rugby, says Stefan. Yeah, I am picking this as the game of the weekend. I'll be honest, round 2 has made it pretty easy for this to be game of the weekend. As long as we don't have 15 scrum resets and 20 minutes of TMO, it's got first place by far. I think James Lowe, he's going to have a big game. I mentioned about his kicking boot in that first game. And just with that extra bit of an ability to get more distance, and then forces the Italians back that little bit further. How's life been since last time I saw you, says Aiden? It's been pretty good. We've just been streaming, just as pretty much always. That was only about a 6-year-old there singing the Irish national anthem. He was fired up, maybe a future star for the Irish as well. And come on, Italia produce a shock performance. Says all in the game, and Ireland to win by 20 points, says Rosifwa there. But they are once again showing the starting lineups for these two sides, ladies and gentlemen. For the Irish, it will be Andrew Porter, Dan Sheehan and Finlay Bilham as the front row. McCarthy and Ryan, the locking duo. Then Ryan Baird, Caelan Doris moves to 7, and Jack Conan gets the start at number 8. Craig Casey and Jack Crowley will be the 9-10 combo with Stuart McCloskey in the midfield alongside Robbie Henshaw, James Lowe, Calvin Nash and Hugo Keenan, the back 3 for the Irish. Then for the Italians, Fischetti, Lucchesi and also Cesarelli will be the front row. Cannoni at 4 and Federico Rusa as the number 5. Zikor comes into the starting side. That is due to the fact that they haven't got Sebastian Negri and they also do not have Lorenzo Cannoni at 8. So instead Lamaro gets that chance with Zuliani also in their loose forward trio. Stephen Varney and Paolo Garbisi are the 9-10 combo. Minoncello in the midfield alongside Inesio Brex, Monteioani, Panni and also Capuzzo comes into the starting side to replace Tommaso Allen. And you almost beat England, so you never know. And the 1-point victories for the Springboks of the World Cup will happen anytime soon. The 1-point victory only happens once in a lifetime, says Mornay Lagrange, or 3 times in a World Cup. And this is, how's this little kid singing in front of so many people? And the little kid has no fear. Yeah, he seemed like he was just locked in and just performing that Irish national anthem. Fun fact, Doris was our 6th, moved to 8 when Jack Conan was injured, says Jimbo. Yeah, and originally, like that combination, it always seemed to be that Peter O'Mahony was coming off the bench. But now that he became captain, it seems to be that he did, I guess, get that nod at 6 a little bit more. And then Doris, like you said, has transitioned more into a number 8. But he's handy anywhere in that loose forward trio. Luke Pearce will be the man in charge of this one. But Ireland standing together tall, says Aidan. Which anthems do you know? Hamish says Luke. Is in like off by heart or is in like on guitar? What we talking about? It's kicked off by the Italians going from left to right here at the Aviva. And Stuart McCloskey getting his first touch for the Irish throughout 2024. And for Dan Sheehan, Craig Casey now puts it back into the pocket to James Lowe, who opens up the angle for Crowley. Does look to get some good clearing meters on it, but Capuzzo takes it on the halfway line. The ball's still alive for the Italians, wearing that classic blue that does just look a little bit of a brighter shade than we normally would see for the Italians. Good defence from Ireland. Their ruck speed, of course, is always immense. So the Italians have to try and match them stylistically. Monteioani with the quick hands out wide. Now Pani goes for the chip and chase. Awkwardly bouncing, but it's claimed by Caelan Doris. Now wrestled down. Good tackle by Mikel Lamaro. Craig Casey goes off to Robbie Henshaw. Down by Varney. Across to the right. That's a big run from Joe McCarthy. Off heart. None of them. Even the New Zealand national anthem. Like, if I had to write down the exact wording of the New Zealand national anthem, the Maori part would definitely get me. And I'd probably get quite a bit of it wrong. Even though we used to sing it at school, I feel like I would be a little bit rusty in that regard. Now back across to the left. It is actually in the hands of the Italians after the little chip and behind from Craig Casey. Does not allow the Irish to retain the possession. Stephen Varney going for a bit of a bigger kick. Are you saying the referee is a Frenchman? What is his name? Luke Pearce. Matthew Raynell, one of the touch judges for this match. But yeah, Luke Pearce, not very French. Now Caelan Doris across to James Ryan. The Irish just outside of their 22. Looks like Casey will take the kick on himself. And he's got that very wrong, Craig Casey. You could hear the outpour of emotion from him when he kicked it out on the full. Giving the Irish just a little bit of early defensive pressure. I love the fact that he did the pick up the grass. Yeah, he's done it twice now. Oh, the wind's going that way. That's why the ball went out by 20 metres. He knows it for next time now, Craig Casey. Now Maro going across. Juan Inesio Brex, beautiful loop around play here for the Italians. Garbisi almost carving his way through, but he's taken down by McCloskey. Will be a battering ram for the Irish, and I believe that is part of the tactic. Use their size to their advantage in the back line. Juan Inesio Brex, loose ball para Garbisi. Now manages to regather, tackled by both Irish props. Across to the left. A bit of a reset there for Danilo Fischetti. Varney searching for the ball, gets it across here for Cesarelli. Been told to use it once in the breakdown by Luke Pearce. Ireland trying to get that counter ruck. I think Robbie Henshaw lost his footing about 3 times, so he will end up getting penalised for it. And Hamish, who do you think out of the Aussie teams to look out for this year's Super Rugby around the corner? I would say probably the Reds. Or Fiji and Drua if you count them as an Aussie side. But more than likely, yeah, I'd say the Reds. And just be happy. You don't have to worry about the Star-Spangled Banner. Says Gus and Ryan will want to win a starting position back. And I got that one wrong. I apologise, Hamish. Says Amore Lagrange. It is all good. And it looks like Italy are actually going to be taking on the early 3 points. Now, I believe I'm correct in saying they actually had a lead up against the English too. Oh, where's George? Is he still in love with KFC? Not as much, to be honest. I think he's had KFC once this year. And to be honest, I don't really blame him not being in love with it as much as normal, mainly because they just always forget something out of your meal. Or at least the one up the road from us. Like the other day, they forgot like 3 items and I was like, not good. Massive low from Germany, Koi Big. Says Ryan. And now lining up this kick, it will be Paulo Garabisi, seeing as Tommaso Allen is not in the starting lineup. Italy just hooked it, says Fionn, so you are a little bit ahead of us. That would be, yep, that's just gone away to the side. So be sure to try not to spoil the action if you can, Fionn. Just because you are ahead. 4.5 minutes down in this match, and the first missed kick. Crowd are cheering loudly. I don't know what's happened here. They are just showing a zoom in of the Italian coach. Crowd trying to tell Ireland to go quickly here, but it looks like instead they will go with the goal line dropout. Sorry, the 22 dropout for the Irish. Italy need to keep the scoreboard ticking away whenever possible. Please don't talk about the other games. I haven't seen them yet. Says LB. Unfortunately, someone at some stage will, LB. So, like, I will be able to keep my mouth shut, but I know as soon as someone new comes in, they'll say, what did you think of this game? So I will just warn you that more than likely you'll see the results if you are on the stream. So I just want to say that off the get-go, that mark is called by Keenan. Takes the quick tap. Now Keenan breaking the line. Moves up to the halfway line. Nice bit of work from the Irish fullback. Now Crowley goes across to Bielan. Lincoln nicely. McCloskey gets it off to Henshaw. Bumps through 2 tackle attempts. It's a bit windy. Says Brian, yeah, it does seem to be quite a cross breeze, which Craig Casey was pointing out when he kicked the ball out on the full. Now Finley Bielan running flat at this Italian defence. He is taken down well. Porter goes off to Crowley. Quick hands. Henshaw through again for the Irish, but he's just ankle tapped at the final moment. 25 metres out from the line. McCarthy goes back to Crowley, who's nailed in the judo throw by Lamaro. Now Keenan has to play first 5. McCloskey being held up partially, but has now got himself to the turf. Finley Bielan being taken down 7 phases in a row now. Italian defence has already shown some slight errors in terms of their tackling. They have left gaps open for the Irish centres to run their way through. Andrew Porter dropping his head. Taken down by the new man, Ezekor. Checking you out, rolling, or check you out, rolling your R's. Says all in the game. And now Craig Casey coming across the right-hand side. Jack Crowley finds the offload to Dan Sheehan. And they are still 10 metres out from the line. Craig Casey sells the dummy, gets it away to Jack Crowley. There were questions of how he was going to fill into that 10 jersey, and he has shown time and time again in the last couple weeks of the Six Nations, including this one. He's the real deal. Try Crowley. Says Barry Power. And what's your score prediction for this match? My prediction is 45-7. Says Morne Lagrange. So for me, I think I predicted, did I say 43-13 or something like that, I think, was my original prediction. McCloskey, please. Says Orion John Quinn and get an Ireland, says Fionn. And Ireland starts, says Krista McCann. But yeah, the missed opportunity for the for the Italians to get themselves their first points of the day, and Ireland make them pay by scoring a try of their own. Yo, Irish Kansas City or Stan's friend? No idea. I've been asked that many times about the Super Bowl. I honestly couldn't name you a single player and probably have no intentions of watching the game. You're like an entire minute and a half ahead of me, says Razor Robinson, and this will be a high score and like a hot knife through butter, says Brian. Now Jack Crowley to convert his own try. 26 metres out from the line should be easy enough. Although with the breeze, that is the factor that will end up affecting it. Bad kick, says Barry, even though we haven't seen it yet, so I'd assume that he's going to miss this, unfortunately. My score is 28-24. And you're just curling around Jack Crowley. If you can, of course, be sure to avoid spoilers in the chat. We've covered so many streams that people have said it or said what's happening before it happens. Normally completely kills the atmosphere. But Crowley, great flat attacking run. Casey saw him running onto it. Popped it away. We have got there. Fun fact too, Henshaw is an inside centre, so plays very straight. When shoved out to 13, difficult to defend, says Jimbo. Yeah, I think that the missing of Ringrose is going to hurt them a little bit, but the fact that Henshaw has already taken to that 13 jersey extremely well, and he's able to get those flat runs like you mentioned. He's gone through about 2 gaps already. Big kick from James Lowe high, but it's taken nicely by Capuzio. Now tries to break his way through. Did you any T20 career between Australia and the West Indies? We did cover both of the T20s. First 2, big driving tackle there from Joe McCarthy, and the penalty has gone the way of Ireland. Italy sealing off the breakdown. He didn't strike that right, plus the wind. Kansas aren't the favourites, says Aiden. See, I know nothing about it. We don't have a natural backup for 13, says Barry. Now again, it will be Jack Crowley kicking this one towards the touchline. We'll be able to use the wind to his advantage, which is not what happened when he was going for his conversion. Italy, when they get phases together, they do look like quite a structured side. It's just what happens in between those breakdowns. They just ended up losing their footing. Big driving tackle from Joe McCarthy as well. 10 minutes into this one. 22 metres out from the Italian line now for Ireland. Thrown in deep, nicely claimed by Joe McCarthy. Going off to the right, that's going to be slapped out of the hands of Caelan Doris. I believe that is going to be a knock-on advantage. In fact, maybe even a deliberate knockdown penalty advantage. Now, Andrew Porter. How far behind are you in stream, says Barry. At the moment, I am at 10:47 on the clock. And as I am watching through Sky Sport now, ball stripped out of Bellham's hands. They will go back for the original knock-on from the Italians. And now the first scrum will be taking place. This game was my beautiful girlfriend Katie. Says Aiden, she pops in every once in a while on their streams, and I bet Australia is 2 up in the series. Says Mornay Lagrange. Okay, it's going to become a penalty in this case for the deliberate knock-on against the Italians. The referee did see it and decided that it was worthy of being upgraded. So now they've kicked this one for the corner. Jack Crowley. Distance to the line only 5 metres out now for Ireland. And they strike again already. They're only 12 minutes into this contest. About a minute or so then, says Barry. Yeah, somewhere around there. Compared to the live. Nicely thrown in by Dan Sheehan. Claimed by James Ryan. Doesn't look like it's quite rolling forward as of yet for the Irish. Now Craig Casey. Short ball, James Lowe. That has been knocked on. That's clearly knocked on, isn't it? By James Lowe? Yep, okay, they have now got the advantage. It's going to be put down over the line by Joe McCarthy. But the original knock-on coming against James Lowe. Another try, let's go. Says Aiden. We are in Britain, 12 minutes and 25 seconds. Got 5 gifted memberships from Brian there as well. Thank you very much, mate. Greatly appreciated. 12 and a half minutes in. This is going to be a tough scrum for Italy. Mainly because the only thing they can really do from here is either try and run it out a little bit and then kick this ball into touch. Or the other option that they've got is to just kick it into touch straight away. But either way, they're not going to make a huge amount of distance, and it's more of the case of waiting for the Irish to attack once more. Unless they can win the penalty, that is the best case scenario for the Italians. It's gone down in the front row. Oh, they got the free kick. I think that they'll just take that. Go for the kick downfield. Seeing as it won't be a contested kick for Polo Garbisi. Thanks, Brian, you legend. I appreciate it. There's Aiden DV. That one has not found touch. And James Lowe, it sits up Irmu, now charges at the halfway line. Few slippery boots at the moment for the Italians. Another gap opening up. Short ball from Conan goes off to Caelan Doris. Crowley's kick is charged down. Now a lot of pressure on him by Lucchesi as well as Cesarelli. They almost got the turnover there, the Italians. And they have now the counter-attacking chance. Monticello goes on the outside to Montijuani. Didn't see anywhere near enough of that man throughout the game up against the English. And Ireland by a few. Hopefully Italy do okay. Like them guys at rugby says Dennis. And where is Kieran these days? He's in a box and storage, I believe. Just heard Australia made a massive score in today's T20. How big was it? They got 241. Now, passing off to the left-hand side here again. Nice run forward from Federico Rusa. Varney cycling quickly. At the moment, the tricky part here for the Italians is trying to find that gap in the Irish defence. Not many sides can do it. Montijuani went for the wide cutout pass. And it sits up there for Pani. He's got a lot of pressure on him. James Lowe in the breakdown. And he should have the penalty in his favour. Or does he? No, they've called it as a maul now. The knee is down. They have to release. But Ireland have managed to get themselves the turnover in the breakdown. Okay, Casey. Going to roll this one back. Are you going to get it out for Super Rugby? Probably not, no. Just because with the green screen, there's nowhere really to put him. Nicely taken by Stephen Varney again. And Capuzio looked like he was actually going to be playing halfback, but instead leaves it for Polo Garbisi. But you watch the match, says Andrea, it does depend on whereabouts you are in the world. But your best bet is to go onto the Six Nations website and it will have a section called Where to Watch. And then you can see exactly what your options are depending on whereabouts you are in the world. But the highlights will be up on YouTube as well straight after the game. That will be on the Six Nations YouTube channel. Places that are showing it. There's China. And yeah, but kick down fell from James Lowe inside of the 22. Still 5-0 for the Irish after 16 minutes. Polo Garbisi again, though, will send this one up high. And well controlled by Ryan Beard. He had a definite height advantage over Ange Capuzio. Super Rugby, you mean basketball, don't you? Says Barry Powell. And cheers for the gift to sub, Brian, top lad. Legend says he's actually at the Aviva. Says Fiona, West Indies probably didn't come near that total. They managed to get over 200. I think they ended with 207, which is still a relatively good total. Montijuani looked for the offload. Robbie Henshaw has not cleaned it up. And now Italy have got themselves another attack. Capuzio trying to break through, but he's shut down early by Andrew Porter. Got the knee down. They do have to release him now. And the penalty goes the way of the Italians. His knees are on the ground for a long time. Andrew Porter not moving away. I think that in this case, the Italians have to start going for the corner. They can't really afford to chase the three-pointers, or else they'll find themselves slowly drifting further and further behind the Irish in this contest. But Polo Garbisi now kicking for the corner. It's not a bad boot either. Matthew Reynell marking it about maybe 15 metres out from the line here for the Italians. Back line is decent. They have got Lorenzo Pani down on this near side of the field. They can get it out that wide. There is a chance of a counter-attack, though, for the Irish, which I think will be in the back of the Italians. Mima nicely slapped back for Italy. Well contested by Ireland. They did not manage to get the turnover for Fischetti now. Still the 15 metres out from the line. Varney having to crawl to get his hands on the ball there. It was deep inside of that breakdown. Lamaro, captain, getting his carry. Juan Inesio Brex drops the head. Given a wedgie there by Dan Sheehan, like he's back in primary school. Now back to the left-hand side. Apora Garbisi. Zuliani trying to spin out of the tackle attempt of Bielam. Garbisi going off now to Cesarelli. Great Irish defence so far, not giving away another penalty advantage. There was rush defence from Joe McCarthy. Shuts down Garbisi as soon as he had the ball. They've lost maybe about 15 to 20 metres at the moment. Now Varney going for the little kick in behind. And it just stays in the field of play. Having to kick that one was Hugo Keenan. The ball has stayed in the field of play, so now counter-attacking chance for the Italians. Varney goes across to Capuzzo. Looking for the cross kick to Lorenzo Pani, and it's over his head. And it's kicked out on the full as well for Ange Capuzzo, which means Ireland will have to line out at about the halfway line. Taking a little bit of the risk there. The Varney kick in behind I thought was relatively good. The only thing that it was lacking was the fact that it didn't go into touch. They could have had Ireland only 5 metres out from their own line, but instead Hugo Keenan had just enough space to be able to kick that ball back downfield, which then created this line out here for the Irish now. Dan Sheehan going into the front to Ryan Beard. Has claimed that one very nicely now. Caelan Norris. Luke Pearce has to try and dodge that breakdown. Almost got cleaned up. Little chip in behind from Craig Casey. This time claimed by the Italians. So Polo Garbisi is going to be called as a maul. It is now there available again for the Italians. 20 minutes into this contest already, Federico Rosa was thinking about the offload option. Shut down instantly by Ireland's defence. It's not going to be an easy day for the Italians. They have to start finding that next gap. Is this Ireland's strongest possible team? It is not, no. Great charge down for Dan Sheehan. Good hustle being shown as well, making the tackle on Paolo Garbisi. Eraser, no problem. There's Brian in there. But Italy now inside of their 22, slowly being forced back by Ireland phase after phase. Looks like they will have to go for the kick themselves now inside of that 22. Be put nice and high from Stephen Varney. Just staying in the field of play. Nicely claimed by James Lowe. Craig Casey searching for this ball once more. In the breakdown, they've got the whole width of the field to work with here, Ireland. We know how quick their backline can be. So this is their chance to really start shifting that ball. Now nicely offloaded to Hugo Keenan. Shut down early in the tackle from Niccolò Cannoni. Rush defence from Jack Conan. Going to be another knock-on advantage here up against the Italians who go with the counter-ruck and the breakdown. But Craig Casey now has it available again. James Lowe tries a little chip. Goes straight to Stephen Varney and they'll go back for the original knock-on. Do you know anyone who can speak French in New Zealand, Hamish? No, don't think so. Not that I can think of, no. Other than like the very basic French sayings. But no one who's fluent in French. Yeah, great hustle from Dan Sheehan to get that charge down and then to also make the tackle on Garbisi, who was back in the pocket and ready to kick that ball away. But Sheehan was just all over him twice. Unusually long knock-on advantages. Says Jimbo at the moment possession is 52% in favour of the Italians compared to 48% in favour of the Irish. I think the territory is a little bit similar, although I'd have to say we're still seeing a lot more ball for the Italians than I think a lot of people would have anticipated, whereas the scoreboard says otherwise, currently sitting 5 points to 0 in favour of the Irish. Just talking about the fact that Italy played an extremely good game up against the English. They didn't quite walk away with the victory, but they got their bonus point. They are now only 1 bonus point away from being higher in points than they were throughout the whole of last year's Six Nations competition, and we are only at the second round. And Craig Casey to put the ball in. Movement was too much there, so the free kick does go the way of the of the Irish. And the Italians are a much better side this year. We're still going to hammer them though, says John. And this will be a close game with their second stringers. McCloskey not doing a Bundy yet. He's MIA, says Jimbo. Although the first 5 minutes we saw quite a bit of McCloskey. Defensively, he has been a lot more there than attack. But that could also be mainly because of the fact that the Italians have had more possession throughout this first half so far. So that has meant that McCloskey's been used more as that defensive option. But Robbie Henshaw actually has been the more busy out of the two centres. Seen a lot more of him. Already had 2 line breaks for him throughout the first 23. This game, I do see that Jack Crowley and James Lowe are situated directly behind this scrum for Ireland, which is 40 metres out from the Italian line. Nice strong push on that near side to the referee, which was Finlay Bilham, has managed to win the penalty advantage for the Irish. Now Crowley flat ball to Hugo Keenan. I think he thought he was through. Now James Lowe, a long way off his wing, actually playing more on the right wing at the moment. The way that the Irish are set up. Craig Casey goes across to Joe McCarthy. Now Henshaw. Beautiful looping around play. Here comes a big crash run from Kelvin Nash. Casey cross to Crowley. Numbers on the outside. Henshaw goes to McCloskey, who gets the try assist. Or does he? Okay, Dan Sheehan got that ball down, but he almost made the mistake. He decided he wanted to run over the top of Ange Capuzzo, and in the process almost got held up. So he might look at that one and go, oh, maybe next time I'll just score the easy option rather than trying to run over the Italians in the process. Try, says Jimbo, and let's go Ireland, says Fionn. And there as well. Jack Crowley, the short no-look pass to Hugo Keenan was what helped start the momentum. And then just out wide, McCloskey will get the assist here. Yeah, Dan Shannon, he tried to cut inwards and almost did end up with that ball getting held up. And Shannon loves a good run over. He does. He gets tempted. And I mean, to be fair, he's targeted the smallest Italian player, so he's done that right. But yeah, you certainly don't want to try and run over him and then somehow end up held up. Or in some cases, not held up, but they call it as no try because the TMO doesn't see clear, conclusive evidence that the try wasn't scored. Just ask Scotland from the first game of this round. And Coy Big says Adam Kennedy and a comment on Italy making a game out of this. Too easy. We need a closer game. And I from Germany. You're a good man. Getting up so early, says Tar. Fun fact, I didn't get up early. I've just been awake all night. So we did our live stream for the West Indies versus Australia. So that one was about a 4-hour live stream. Then I've been up ever since. It's currently 4:30 a.m. here in New Zealand. Jack Crowley was celebrating that one big time after the pass to Robbie Henshaw was successful. The two midfielders linking up nicely, and then Dan Sheehan cutting on the inside to make it an easier kick. And I mean, it's worked out in the end because the kick was successful from Crowley. Now the score sits 12 points to 0 in favour of Ireland. Great try. He was trying to get nearer the post. Says Brian. Now big run from Ryan Beard. He's almost driven backwards in that tackle from Nicola Canoni, who was getting pushed around at the back of the Irish breakdown. And congrats team Australia under 19. Says Salhin. Now Monty Ioane running this one back 35 metres out Ireland. Strategically trying to hold up the Italians and cause a maul. That's a knock on though for Lucchesi, and now it's the kick in behind for the Irish, looking for the 50-22, but it sits up for Ange Capuzzo. Shows some good pace to get back down. Very good conversion, says Brian. Jack Crowley takes it again now on the halfway line, trying to step through Capuzzo, and he does just that. Still going, Jack Crowley, with a good fast-paced run. Close to the touchline, James Ryan stays in the field of play. A low place half goes to Porter. Henshaw. Tackled well by Fischetti. Italians, though, they have fallen off a few of their tackle attempts, and that has caused the gaps to open up for the Irish. There's probably lots of South Africans living in New Zealand, especially on the North Island. And they can speak Afrikaans. There's Monet Lagrange. Now good attack and run. McCloskey gets it away to James Lowe. He wanted to pass on the inside, but he had Casey on his outside. Never saw him. Now Porter moves to 21 out. His face is in the grass at the moment. Hope the man doesn't get hay fever. Now, Casey, good shot on him by Monty Ioane, bonus point before half-time. I don't quite think so. I think they'll have 3 tries by half-time. And to be fair, they've had all the attack recently. I think you don't sleep proper. You are 100% correct. I'm running off about 2 hours sleep from being awake for around 48 hours. So it doesn't really work. That's the penalty to the Italians. That certainly works, though, in the breakdown. Some brilliant work from Danilo Fischetti. Wins the penalty for his side. Now, I should mention, it was like awake for a good 20 hours, 2 hours sleep, and then awake for more time. Not all 48 hours, then a couple hours sleep. I'm probably up to like 4 hours sleep, I would say, for the weekend, which is good. Get a coffee in you. It says all in the game. Fun fact that people don't believe, I have never tried coffee in my life. Believe it or not. A lot of people do not believe it, but yeah, never tried a coffee. I'm the king of the north. I don't hear of any Afrikaans in my domain, says Hayden. A nice kick downfield from Italy after winning the penalty. Line out so far, we have seen 100% accuracy for both of the sides. 2-1 by the Italians, 3-1 by the Irish. Oh, we're going to double blow the whistle there. Oh, someone's missing their gum shield, as Luke Pearce has called it. Oh, I have a question for everyone. While we are waiting for Jack Crowley, what do you call it where you are in the world? I know that we've got quite a few people watching from all over the place. So, yeah, I'll ask the question. What do you call it? The piece that goes over the top of your gum or your teeth? What would you call it? I'm not saying what we call it here, because that might not be what you call it there. A bit of a break, but Italy, gum shield, says Jimbo. But how long can they hold on, says Brian. The protection, says Mikhail. Yeah. See, we call it a mouth guard over here in New Zealand. Gum shield. Okay. So it must be gum shield in Ireland, I would assume. The little kick of my eye from McCloskey. Capuzio is back to be able to cover it. Gum guards, says Miminia. Gum shield, says Coleman. And tooth guard or mouth guard in the US. Gum shield, says Martin. Gum shield, says all in the game. Okay. Fair enough. Gum shield. Mouth guard, says Tar. A mouth guard in Canada. Teeth watcher. That's a new one. I've never heard that one before. Teeth watcher. I guess it makes sense. Gum shield in Ireland, says Adam. I've had mouth guard in gum shield and cabron in Spanish, says Alex Ramos. Now the line out again will be in favour of the Italians. Gum shield in Ireland, says Nicky. Okay. I think that's the only real rugby item. Like everyone calls them boots, don't they? I'd assume. I did not have my first coffee until I was 48 at university. I've had one a day in the morning ever since. Now 30 minutes in. Again, Italy having a kick it from inside of their own half. This time Lorenzo Pani kicks it downfield. Nice shot from him on James Ryan. He's gone for the counter-ruck as well, but well defended by the Irish. And back across. Kalen Doris sells the dummy. Doesn't go through past his opposite number. Zuliani though. Now Craig Casey back to Crowley. Calvin Nash chasing after this one. Isn't able to line it up. Nice bit of blocking from Monty Ioane. He's in the mood for the NFL tomorrow by the looks of it. We're blocking manoeuvres like that. Going to be no knock on, says Luke Pearce. Boots equals togs. Really? Togs. Interesting. See, for us, togs in New Zealand is what you wear swimming. Like your togs. You bring your togs to the pool. But, interesting. All right, there is the knock-on this time for Ange Capuzio, which now means Ireland have got themselves another scrum feed. Haven't really seen scrum dominance from either side, although Ireland have got themselves the penalty advantage from the last scrum that we did see take place. Ange Capuzio already had 4 carries, 46 metres made. Relatively strong at the back. His first game of the Six Nations was missing last week due to sickness. Tommaso Allen coming off the bench. How is your Afrikaans these days? If no, try this word donkey, says Amore Lagrange. I mean, I still know about the same amount as I did last time, mainly because we haven't covered too many games in terms of South African teams, only because we do the URC anyway, but not many people on there teach us any Afrikaans words. And Australia beat the highest number of under-19 World Cup champion nation at final Australia. Penalty this time goes the way of Ireland. We refer to rugby togs in South Africa. Says Stefan. Quilsey is a speedy little fella. He is. He's not even deceptively quick. He is just quick. He looks quick and he is quick. And Crowley looks awesome today, says Coleman. He is really the real deal for the Irish at 10. And I feel like I said earlier on, there were concerns after Sexton was gone with who was going to be able to take that jersey and make it their own. And I feel like Crowley, yes, it's still very early on and we need to see him up against top opposition, but the signs are promising for him at the moment. And he just seems like he really knows his backline. Even when they've made the changes here, McCloskey, Henshaw in the midfield, Nash and Lowe out on the wings, still seems like he's on the same wavelength. Now Dan Sheehan to throw this one in. Nicely claimed by James Ryan, this time at the front of the line out for the Irish, about 10 metres in from the touchline, 30 metres out from the Italian goal line. Now McCloskey goes back to Crowley, looping around. I think it was Hugo Keenan. No, in fact, it's Kelvin Nash. What do you call a thumb basher in New Zealand? A hammer? No? What's a thumb basher? That's why I said hammer, because the amount of times that I've hit my thumb with a hammer when building sucks. And come on, Ireland. And where can I watch the United Rugby Championship in Australia? I actually don't know where the option is in Australia, to be honest. I don't think it's on Stan. I think it's on URC TV. Banyaki playing, he is not, no. Also won't be coming off the bench in this contest. Just a little knock on. Oh, Craig Casey actually took quite a bit of a headbutt there from Lamaro when he was making his way through. And the breakdown as well. But now another scrum. So far we have seen 87 tackles made by the Italians. We have seen 61 tackles made by the Irish, but actually 4 more dominant tackles for the Italians. Correct, says Tar. Yep, I know that feeling all too well. It's worse when you hit at the top of the nail and you have to wait 4 weeks for your nail to grow so that then the purple kind of ends up out the end. Now Jack Crowley goes for the grubber in behind, but back there to cover is Lorenzo Pani. Why is that? Is he on a break or dropped or what? Well, they just want to make sure that they're managing the workload for a lot of these Irish players. At the end of the day, Italy, no offence to the Italians, but Ireland know that they've got bigger games of the Six Nations around the corner and they don't want to risk an injury here in a game where they can also test out a bit of depth while moving forward. And I'm impressed you said donkey correctly. And by the way, donkey is English, or in English means thank you. I did actually know that, fun fact. Right, they're going for the corner here. Ireland could have taken the 3 to make it a 15-point lead, but they decide instead they're chasing the bonus point. Oh, a little bit of a rough kick from Crowley. Didn't quite come off the boot the way that he wanted, but when you're contesting with that breeze, you definitely don't want to allow that ball too close to the corner, or else if you lose that, then makes it pretty difficult. You don't want to be giving that possession back to the opposition. The rolling maul is now well set. Dan Sheehan hanging on to this one at the back. He's already got himself 1 try. James Lowe and McCloskey both joining the rolling maul. He breaks off the side. Dan Sheehan goes to Graham McCarthy. Uses his size 1 metre out. Who's going to be the big forward? Looks like Finlay Bielam wants it. Is he going to go himself? Yes, he does. He's going to be held up. Oh, tell you what. Nick Berry has told number 1 Blue to release. He's not going to release him, though, because or else Bielam would have fallen over the try line and scored. It's one of those interesting scenarios where there's a bit of a tussle and a little bit of a wrestle afterwards to make sure that he doesn't slip over the line. Ireland very close. This time they have slipped over. And I think it's Jack Conan who has walked away with the try there. The third of the half now for the Irish. Are we going to watch the United Rugby Championship in Australia, Hamish? I believe URC TV. And also we have got there great maul, says Jimbo. And the Irish are in, says Fionn. But Jack Conan, 10 tries for him in his 43 caps. The Irish, anytime they enter that 22, just look like they're the next level, I should say. Irish should get Conor McGregor on the wing, running off our key, says Hayden. I don't think Conor McGregor at the moment would actually pass a drug test to be able to play rugby. Why do you think it's been like 2 years since he was in the USADA testing pool? Yeah, nice leg drive from Jack Conan, clear grounding of that ball. Ireland celebrating it big time. They bust off so strongly. Sheehan dived early. He did. I think he thought the 5 metre line was the try line for a second and then realised afterwards, well, now I've got to play it back. And then Bellamy got excited, almost got over. In the end, it is Jack Conan, the man at number 8. Does get it done. Jack Crowley now finishing off the kick, and it has gone over again, straight over the post. And now, after only 38 minutes, sitting there at 19 points to nil, because he snapped his leg and took steroids to help with the healing. Nothing wrong with that, says John. I mean, he's taken a bit more since then, John, it would be fair to say. But yeah, hopefully we see him fight before he has to retire. That's all I hope. I mean, he's supposed to fight Michael Chandler. There's rumours of a Khabib rematch, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. Also rumours of, there's been a lot of rumours of who he could end up fighting. And he would just get battered on a rugby pitch. I agree. I feel like it's a whole different game out there. A lot of these guys, absolute tanks. McCloskey being one of them driving forward. And ain't no way anyone's going to touch him. Everyone would be like, I ain't touching that guy. Now, big run forward. This time is that Caelan Doris? No, it's actually the big man at number 6, Ryan Beard, who has made it up to the halfway line now. Kicked him behind from Craig Casey, looking to play the territory game. And it might even be a 50-22, or I think maybe they just were inside of the half of the Italians. On Ireland for the win, says Oliver. And she had number 1 in the world. He's got to be up there for number 2s in terms of around world rugby. I know that Malvaca at one stage was talked about as a really good option, but I think off recent form, you've got to take Sheehan every day of the week. Seriously talking required for the Italians at halftime, otherwise they're going to get hammered in the second half. Now 5 metres out, nicely claimed by the Italians. Michel Amaro does lose his footing. Ireland trying to steal this ball back. They're kicking behind on paper from Casey was good, but now they will kick the ball into touch the Italians, and that is going to be half-time. And Marks, though, says Eric, I mean, don't get me wrong, Malcolm Marks, phenomenal. But in terms of recent form, seeing as he's been injured for so long, Malcolm Marks, it meant that he went, for me, he's still definitely in the top 2. It's just if you're basing it off active hookers, you got to go with Sheehan. And I'll go on to plan. My early prediction of Ireland to win by 40 to 50 points. I'm going to make tea anyone for cake. And brilliant kick to touch, says Brian. I mean, it was a good kick, but it also meant that Italy were able to kick the ball out and make it halftime rather than one last Irish attack coming at them throughout the first half. And Ireland for the win, says Oliver. And also great try again. 2 minutes to get the bonus point before halftime, says Brian. And yeah, fair opinion. And me, Dennis, says Coleman. And then Italy's greatest comeback, second half, and Ireland to get 50-plus points, says Manny M. Yeah, unfortunately, it just doesn't seem like there's much stopping this Irish attack for the Italians. Now, the benches, they can make a bit of an impact. Of course, we're going to see the likes of Josh Van den Flair making his way out onto the field for the Irish. We'll quickly get some stats, though, to do with that first half time, but the game's done now, says Simon. I think we're in the scenario here of it seems like it's pretty much certain that Ireland are going to win. It's just more of the question of by how much. So, yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're one try away from that bonus point already. And not an easy win for Ireland. No chance they lose. Well, sorry, easy win for Ireland. And that's true, Hamish, says Brian. I'm just comparing this first half to England's first half against Italy, says Brian. Yeah, looking through at some of the stats for this matchup. I believe possession should have gone the way of the Irish in the end. By just a little bit. Might not be a huge difference. Possession, okay, there we go. 59% actually for the Irish and 32.5 to cover, says Philip. And Torchwood tell you. Well, I should know how to say that word, but it's not hitting my brain at the moment. It is currently almost 5 a.m. in New Zealand, though, so I'm going to use that as my excuse. Ireland haven't even turned the key on yet. If Italy don't wake up, could be a very long evening. Just a shame, says Dennis. And do Wales have any chance next week, says Paul? They do, because they're not playing next week, so they will get the rest week. But the week after that, she's going to be a tough day at the office to go and head-to-head with the Irish at the Aviva. Of course, Ireland finishing out their Six Nations competition at the Aviva as well, with that game up against the Scottish. Their only other away game that the Irish have got is going to be up against the English. Then for the Italians, they have got their game up against the French, which will be a rematch of what we saw in the Rugby World Cup group stages. Then they have got Scotland and then Wales to close out their Six Nations competition. For the table at the moment, the way that it sits, England are in first, but if we take the live table, Ireland would be sitting there on 9 points with a points differential of plus 40. If they score one more try, they will move up to 10 points to be 2 clear of England, who have not received a bonus point in either of their 2 performances. The All Blacks is a little bit on the edge. Tony Brown is the Springboks' new attacking coach. I mean, worst comes to worst for the ones who are worried about it. They can watch the Highlanders when Tony Brown was in charge, and they'll probably become less worried. Referee look for forward against Italy for the Islanders kick. Very good referee, says Torchwood. And who are you rooting for, says Not Coffee. I hope, to be honest, that the later games of the Six Nations mean something. But then, like, my prediction from the start was Ireland was going to win it with a grand slam for the Six Nations competition. You might as well head to bed. This game is done, says Dennis. And when the Wallabies and All Blacks back in action, about 150 days or so for the July internationals. And I predicted 50 plus points. But a great game. Italy, they defended better. Hope they don't crumble. Who replaces Garbisi, Hamish? Says Eric. So off the benches in this one for the Italians. There are 3 replacement backs as Page, Relo, also Tommaso Allen, and then also Mori. So, I mean, Tommaso Allen would probably be the man who goes on for the Garbisi, I would say. Just because of, I guess, the straight swap. Could say, but so far 293 metres gained by the Irish compared to the 155 of the Italians. We have seen 6 line breaks for Ireland and 19 defenders beaten. Almost double what we have seen for Italy. Handling errors, 8 against the Italians, 6 against the Irish. Penalty count relatively low, 4 for both of these sides. And free kicks conceded, just the 1 in there as well for these scrums. I've got there, Chris has got the Irish colours. And also Gelaitis and Ireland on top, says Finn. Is that a very zoomed in picture of Peter Griffin, Finn, as your profile picture? But anyone who doesn't know about the other games of this round, of course, we saw 2 very close games. This one, not so much. Of course, Tommy, I did great at the Quins as Smith's replacement. How much sleep did you get in this week? During the week, we got a little bit more. We've still done quite a few streams during the early stages of the week as well as the late stages of close to the weekend. My eyes probably tell you that I haven't had a lot, and they'd not be lying. I think that is. Says Fiona, and yes, it's Peter. Says Finn there. Just watched the final 5 minutes of the Scotland versus France game. And missed the games yesterday. Any high points? Not particularly. Still relatively low scoring close games. Both being split by very thin margins. I'll try not to spoil the results. But I'll once again show you guys the table. So that won't tell you who won the games, but more so how the current table as it's sitting. England at the top of the bunch on the 8 points. 2 wins from 2. Ireland in second, Scotland in third. But this points differential for Ireland could really start increasing drastically if they can continue the momentum that they've created throughout the first half in their game up against the Italians. But for this last 40 minutes, we just need to see aggression from the Italians and also just a bit of fight. Like, they are good when they get going. Like, their backline, I think, has been relatively decent throughout this contest. It's just the fact that they haven't been able to turn it into actual points on the board. They missed that chance of an early penalty. I like the fact that they had the attacking mindset after that, though, to start kicking it towards the corner rather than going for the 3 points. Italian kick it on 21 in a row success. So that is, of course, Tommaso Allen, who will be coming off the bench. I was a little bit surprised to see that they didn't start him in this match, seeing as I thought he was one of the better players for the Italians up against the English. At the moment, 19-0 in this game for the Irish. The 3 tries being scored by Dan Sheehan, was able to score the early one, rolling over the top of Capuzzo. Then also, alongside that, we did see the tries. One moment. Go down here. Saw the try out wide. That one, of course, was the one that I just mentioned. Have I just forgotten who scored the other 2 tries? It wasn't James Lowe. Jack Crowley got the first try. Then we saw the one from Dan Sheehan, and then it was after that the try from Jack Conan. I've just been hit in the face with remembering. Brian O'Driscoll was the Irish Dragon. Thanks, Razor Robinson. Will do. Says Dennis. And there as well. Yeah, Italy having to make the 100 tackles throughout that first half can be extremely fatiguing. Ireland only making the 63. But Italy have actually had a lot more dominant tackles throughout this matchup compared to the Irish. Joe McCarthy has been going pretty well. What is your view on Tony Brown as being the new Springboks attacking coach? I'm interested to see how it goes because, like I said, the Highlanders, they didn't really thrive under Tony Brown. Japan didn't really thrive under Tony Brown, but maybe the Springboks will thrive under Tony Brown. And Black Cats destroy South Africa Revenge of the World Cup 2023. There's Dog Battery. Although, to be fair, different team completely for South Africa. I'm hoping the second one we'll get to see a few more better players scattered throughout there. But yeah, they made 6 debuts in their 11 men in the starting lineup. Without Ireland and Six Nations, it has actually been a poor quality tournament. The others are just not any good. Says Simon, I think that something that's hurt this round in particular, though, of the Six Nations, like that first game between Ireland and Scotland had far too much TMO interference, I felt, for the 80 minutes. And then the second game that we saw between England and Wales, it had far too much in terms of time taken up for scrum resets and scrummaging in general. I think I counted about every time we had a scrum, it was about 2 minutes on the clock that it ended up using up. So, of course, in a wet game or a overcast game, you're going to have quite a few drop balls anyway. But the second half, just around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. I think my eyes have even looked worse at halftime. Have you noticed the way the Irish have improved a lot with them lineouts past few games? A perfect year for Australia cricket. First senior team won World Cup. Now junior team beat same India to win. And when is the Super Rugby Pacifica going to start? It is 2 weeks' time. First weekend is the 23rd of February. And league cricket gives you money. International cricket gives you legacy. Wise men, which South Africa couldn't listen. Says Dog Battery. And also no Razor. Says Manning, the All Blacks passed 96, or put 96 past Italy. And the non-Razor. Which Irish rugby player would you pick for the All Blacks? Dan Sheehan. Probably a very good shout. I'm not sure who else you'd go with. To be honest, like you could say Bundy Aki. It's a good option, and 8 players rotated out. This is a second string Irish team. Says Frank, they have made a lot of changes in this match, some due to injury and some due to just giving other guys an opportunity. We also cover small chunks of South Africa versus New Zealand second test. I am hoping to, mainly because The good news about when that test starts, there are less games taking place next weekend for rugby and whatnot in general, so we'll actually have a lot more time to be able to cover more of that test match. I predict 6 minimum, says Frank, in terms of the amount of tries. Irish bench is strong, says Eric. Yeah, they have got Josh Brandon Flair, who will be coming off the bench in the second half. Also Ian Henderson, Jeremy Luckman, Tom O'Toole, and Ronan Kelleher as the front row. And then they've got James Gibson Park, Byrne, and Lama as the back replacements. Then for the Italians, Nicotera, Spagnolo, and Zelocci, Zambonin, and Vincent. And then Padrello. Tommaso Allen, I think, will be a bit of an X factor later on in the game for the Italians. At least I'm hoping he is. I actually wanted to see him in the starting lineup after the way that he went in the last game up against the English. And the Irish pack seems a lot larger than the Italians. Says Frank, I think they had about a 30 kg advantage, somewhere around there. Bandiaki, why is he not playing for the All Blacks? Because he plays for Ireland. And Australia versus New Zealand, 2 tests. Will be tough for New Zealand, certainly will be. I am actually going to that second test. Hopefully it is a good one. Who's your pick to win the Super Rugby Pacifica, says Mornay. Of course, like Chiefs, or sorry, not the Chiefs, the Blues and the Crusaders, I think, are the 2 front runners at the moment. England and Wales are average teams. France have World Cup hangover. Scotland inconsistent. Italy will get the wooden spoon again. Ireland, by far the best Six Nations team. Grand Slam all the way, says Simon. And Aki wasn't even close to that level when he left New Zealand. Probably why. Crusaders probably all the Blues, says Razor Robinson. And to be fair, Frank, any of those replacements could make the first team and have done in the past. Like, that's the thing. A lot of these guys who have been brought in, they just look like the first team as well. And by the way, when I looked at South Africa B player David Bellingham, reminded me of Jude Bellingham, football player, says Doug Battery. Or Dog Battery, I should say. And also, they're truthful now. Do the New Zealand public even watch the Six Nations over there? All them games on too early, says Dennis. Well, a majority of people only probably watch one Six Nations game a weekend, to be honest. And that's normally the 9 a.m. game on a Saturday morning, if they have one. This game started at 4 a.m. New Zealand time. It's a Monday. So, of course, people have got work. I think I've got work in only about 5 hours' time. So we're going to get a quick nap in. But, yeah, it's just the time zones are inconvenient. Yesterday's games, they were on at, I think it was 3:30 a.m. and 5:45 a.m. or something along those lines. So that really doesn't work unless you are a night owl. So, yeah, I wouldn't say that many people in New Zealand do watch the games. They'll watch the highlights afterwards or watch the replays the next day. But, yeah, not many live watching these games. And Drew Bryan, but do you reckon they all have experienced or played together without the more experienced core, says Frank. And do you watch the Black Ferns? I do indeed. I've been going not too badly recently. Ireland requirement is excellent, says Simon Bradford. And also, I'm doing the Hurricanes to win the Super Rugby Cup. But now the second half underway, ladies and gentlemen. The Irish will be kicking off. Can Italy find a way back into this game? First question, of course. And then the second, can they score a few tries along the way too? Most Kiwis don't watch Six Nations. Nope. Even Super Rugby doesn't have big view counts. All the fans come out for the All Blacks games. Here's Razor Robinson. Now, good, heavy breakdown. I think about 6 or so players for Italy have all had to work their way in there to try and stop Joe McCarthy and Andrew Porter. That's partially touched Joe McCarthy's arm. Do you see that Cesarelli's been taken off the field for Zelocci? A good tackle made by Zikor. Ireland on the halfway line with the attacking play, McCloskey taken down well. And imagine if Antarctica was in rugby, it'd be a bit cold down there, wouldn't it? Definitely if you played in Antarctica. I wonder what the coldest recorded temperature for a game of rugby is. You'd assume that it's like minus 15, minus 20 at least. Now going back across to this left-hand side. Nice spin from Zuliani. Just couldn't quite get that next pass away for the Italians. Now kicked him behind from Juan Inesio. Breck sits up there for Hugo Keenan. James Lowe. That massive left boot Garbisi was sitting at the back waiting for that ball. Now puts a good chase from Lorenzo Pani. The mark cannot be taken by Hugo Keaton as it was just outside of the 22. Massive kick from James Lowe, but that one, it's going to keep on rolling. It's in the in-goal area, but they are quite large at the Aviva. So Garbisi, instead of taking the goal line dropout, will run that out towards the 22 and does put it into touch. Fair play, Hamish. You're doing a great job on here. Can't watch TV, bad sight. So you're a lifesaver for me. Thank you, mate. Says Dennis, no worries at all. And I always say it, no matter what hour of the morning that these games take place in New Zealand time, we are still up. We are still covering them. And it's always awesome seeing you guys who are familiar faces in the chat as well. Does the New Zealand public watch any of the URC games? Not really either, to be honest. I feel like I'm one of the rare exceptions to the rule. But, some people would watch the URC a little bit because some of the games are on kind of all right hours. You should try Saudi Arabia KFC at Riyadh. They're good. I'm a bit far away from Saudi Arabia at the moment. Do you like Baniaki? I think he's a fantastic player and plays with his heart on his sleeve and will always give you that 110%, and he's just a crash baller. At number 12. It is a shame that they haven't got him for this game, but I think when he comes back, he is definitely going to be a handy option. Now it's going to be kicked in behind from the Irish. It's a bit too much distance on that, and it will go dead inside of the Italian in-goal area. Hamish, you watched the final with the URC. You know you love South Africans. Says Timmy Smith. I think the last URC final, although, was won by Munster, wasn't it? Which we did get to watch live. Super Rugby, best viewing on the box. Says Sulla. And whether you sleep or not, it must be night at your place. Well, it is night in India too, says Sudeep. Yeah, we are currently sitting 5 a.m. New Zealand time. Anyone know any O'Hogans from New Zealand? Or O'Hagans? Not that I can think of, although I am from a very small town, so the chances are if there was someone with that last name, we'd probably know them. Yeah, Munster did take a deserved winners, says Timmy Smith. Our scrum feed here for I think it's the Italian scrum feed. Yes, it is. For that kick going dead from the Irish. It's the ball in for Stephen Varney. Portugal time is currently 4:03, says Alex Ramos. Now Varney going short side. Goes for the kick himself. It is going to hit into the leg, and it's actually going back for the original penalty. When's it start? Says Welloof Infinity. It has just started. Second half, 44 minutes in. At the moment, it takes 20 hours to go to Saudi Arabia. You could sleep in the plane and dream of New Zealand winning Rugby World Cup 2027. And congratulations, Australia, says Sudeep. 5 penalties conceded against the Irish compared to the 4 of the Italians. I know some bushbees from New Zealand. It's minus 23 degrees. Says Gus for playing football. And by the way, Messi or Ronaldo, both very different players. I know that a lot of people after the most recent Football World Cup do favour Messi because he has got a World Cup to his name, unlike Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, a nice flat run by Minoncello has knocked that ball on, so James Lowe now has the opportunity to boot it downfield on that left boot again. Massive kick. Silly penalty from Beard, says Jimbo. Kicking this one into touch for the Italians. And good stuff, says Cordell. And there as well. Now line out again for the Irish, who are yet to get themselves that bonus point. They do need one more try, which is well and truly doable from what we saw throughout the first half. Dan Sheehan now with the line out. Onto the front, nicely claimed there from Joe McCarthy. Did we win for the Irish? It is still going, but they are currently 19-0 up at the moment. So they're in a very good position to go on and get themselves the win and probably a bonus point as well. We've got there Ronaldo is a better player. Nice run down the wing from James Lowe. Finn Russell, of course, considers himself The Messi of rugby, I think he is nicknamed. Doesn't have a World Cup though. Unlike Messi. It's a forward pass, I believe. In fact, there's going to be a high tackle. No, neck roll. 6 green, that is against Ryan Beard. So it actually means that the Italians have now got themselves the penalty. And what is the reason why Virat Kohli is out for the entire Test series? I'm not actually too sure. I thought it was injury-based, but I'm not actually too sure what the complete reasoning is. Beard again, says Jimbo, and never mind, sorry, says well infinity, no worries at all. So and it might have been James Ryan. Yeah, it was in fact rather than Ryan Beard. So he was getting a little bit of the blame for something he didn't do. I think in that case, Andrew Porter was trying to argue he was also getting neck rolled. While in the breakdown, that is slapped back by the Italians, who are now on the halfway line. Ugh, another knock on. This time it was Lucchesi who wasn't able to take it cleanly. Chipped in behind for Ange Capuzzo. Finn Russell was portrayed as a real cocky son of a gun in the Netflix series. And neck roll. And World Cup is a team work competition. Firstly, hard work, Ronaldo win. And I've seen you yawning. Hopefully you get a good sleep in. I will not know. I think I get maybe about 4 hours sleep and then I'm straight to work. So we'll hopefully catch up on sleep tonight. So far, 8 handling errors for the Italians compared to just the one of Ireland. Those type of handling stats, it's going to make it extremely challenging for Italy to get back into this match. And that one is thrown in, but this time it is not straight. So that breaks the 100% accuracy that the Italians had. Lucchesi just getting it wrong. What's your day job? I am a builder, believe it or not. Yeah, we will be. I think I'm starting at about 10, so I get like half an extra little bit of time. But 10 is only 4 hours and 50 minutes away. So I think I'm going to have a nap after the live stream, and then I get like, about I think 7 hours or something, or 7 hours of work that is, and then get to sleep tonight to catch up. I hope Ireland gets a nil win. At the moment, the 0 is still firmly intact for Italy. They haven't really looked like breaking that 0 ever since the early missed penalty. That is a good push, though, I think, for the Irish. What are you going to build? Says Morna. I believe it's a garage today. Or, wait, what are that'd be called? They're called a garage in Ireland, aren't they? What do you call the part that you put your car in next to your house? Everyone from Ireland. Carport? Trying to think of what's an Irish sounding. Garage isn't how you'd say it, is it? Carport? No, I don't know. What do you call it in Ireland? Where you put your car? You do call it a garage. Okay, sorry. That's only because of the gum shield mouthguard debate. So just had to make sure. And now good rolling maul there for the Irish. And they're only a metre out. That's the bonus point now. And Dan Sheehan gets a second one. And Garage and Britain and Carport is just a roof, says Gus. And 2 more converted tries and a penalty, Alex says Brian. And yes, says Chris O'Hagan. But Dan Sheehan, his second try of the match. And it's Garage, says Colin, and Garage in Ireland. It's Garage. That's how you say it. And also, I hope you're not driving a forklift, etc. I hate to be under that and you're half asleep. No, luckily no forklifts involved. But I will probably end up hitting my finger with a hammer. And Garage is French, says Razor. Dan Shan, that rolling maul has been very strong for the Irish. Every time they've tried to march it towards the try line, there's just been no stopping them. I hope Italy score. They're not a bad team. They just need a few decent forwards, says Goldman. And of course it was going to be tricky for them because they did lose Sebastian Negri as well as Lorenzo Cannoni, who have been 2 of their better forwards, say backyard with a French accent. How would you say? I don't know if I can. yeah. No, I don't know how French people talk. Garage, ooh la la, says Adam. That one didn't come around, so the kick is not going to be going over. Mornay has said, I'm just curious, where are you going to build that garage? It's only like a 5-minute away drive, and luckily I'm not driving, so she'll be right. No such thing as a garage in Ireland. That's where the rallies live, says Mumbo Jumbo Kiwi. Italian feels bad to watch Italy getting demolished every year, says Ulix. Definitely after such a strong first game up against the English, they were extremely close to winning that game, and at times it seemed like they were going to. Now Dan Sheehan inside of the Irish 22. They are walking away from this game with minimum, well, really, it's just 5 points at this stage they will be able to get. I don't see an Italian comeback coming, and now already Hugo Keenan. Another attacking chance here for the Irish. Going to be defending or trying to break through about 7 or so Italian defenders. He was doing it very easy. James Lowe now trying to cut through and speak American accent for 2 minutes. I don't think I could, to be honest. My American's a bit rough. Now Hugo, his knees have been chopped out from underneath him. They might maybe have another look at that one. Who are you supporting, Italy or Ireland? I mean, I backed Ireland to win the Six Nations competition. Hugo Keenan is in discomfort from that knee chop that he received. They might have to check that one, but his knee's done by the looks of Hugo Keenan. That left leg completely given way. This could not be good for Hugo Keenan. He's trying to walk it off. I think he ended up getting it chopped the wrong way. That was brilliant from Keenan, although it may have just cost him his kneecap. Now McCloskey gets the offload away. Low one more on the outside. Dan Sheehan powers. He's short of the line. Brilliant work from Varney. It was almost a hat trick for the Irish number 2. Do you know a girl named Alicia Lemon? I do. That name rings a bell. Footballer? Maybe? I think. Now Craig Casey going around the side up to 15 phases. Sheehan is absolutely chomping at the bit to receive this one if they give him the chance. And he's going searching for it now. Dan Sheehan going to have his hands on the ball, saying that they're offside. Now he goes himself. Dan Sheehan just short of the line again, held up by the Italian defence. 16 phases back to back to back for the Irish. Everyone knows here, says Alex Ramos. Italy have been told not to use their hands. She got cake. I don't even know who. That looked like an illegal tackle. That was just a headbutt to the chest of Casey. Starting to get a little bit dirty from the Italians. How did she not score that? Unfortunately, Varney just tucked his arm underneath. 19 phases now. And Italy, they've been told to roll out of there. Still available. McCarthy straight up the middle. Casey back across to Crowley. That was a forward pass. Referee allows it to continue. That looked like it was forward by about a metre. Now Jack Conan almost going through. Casey again. Back across to Robbie Henshaw, who reaches out. Are they going to check that forward pass? Or are they going to say it's a try for Ireland after 23 phases? That's the big question. There's a few things they need to check here, though. First of all, that shot on Casey, that knee chop on Hugo Keenan, and then also, of course, that forward pass. They're going to see it here. It was that little chip in behind. Brilliant run from Hugo Keenan. Your 5K is good. There's Chris O'Hagan. Dan Sheehan, I have no idea how he didn't make his way over the drop. It's a knock on. There's a lot that they're missing here. Knock on from Sheehan, 4 pass from Casey, 2 illegal plays, I would say, in terms of the defence of the Italians. I think the referee was trying to let it flow maybe a bit too much in that case. Knock on by Sheehan. TMO should come into it for the blatant 4 passes, I agree. And knock on early on by Sheehan. Right, they're going back. Now, this is interesting. And the reason I say it's interesting, ladies and gentlemen, they often say that if it leads to a try, you can only actually go back, if you're looking at a knock-on, the TMO is only able to go back 3 phases, I believe it is. But I think the exception to the rule is if they have been asked by the referee to check something. Delusional. I think Ireland will win a game against the boys. And good for the ref, says Eric. No way, it wasn't knocked on. So, okay, first of all, they are checking the grounding. That's almost crawling forward there from Robbie Henshaw as well. Yeah, he's tackled and he's propelled himself forward. This could be no try for about 3 different reasons for the Irish. He has crawled forward while being tackled by Lamaro. Yeah, it's going to be no try for Robbie Henshaw for double movement. Some days the TMO ruins the game for everyone. Sometimes the TMO goes completely MIA. And I'm half New Zealand and half Belgian, says a dog battery. And take a look, maybe not a try. And yeah, crawling, says Jimbo. It's going to be called as no try. The penalty does go the way of the Italians. Come on, Ireland. Or sorry, come on, Italy. Sure, you can points on the scoreboard. Okay, they're just talking about what happened in the last game between England and Italy when it was allowed. I hate it when it's a knock-on, spoils the game. Says Manny M. The best way to not spoil it in that regard is just hang on to the ball. I feel like it's not so much like a penalty, it's just one of those ones that if the players hang on to the ball, then you're not going to have a drop. So heartbroken. Next try, please, Irish lads. Rightfully so, rules are far too complex, says Stefan. Now 24 minutes remaining. Oh, that's harsh. They've taken Sheehan off the field for Ronan Kelleher. He was chasing his hat trick and he wasn't a mile off being able to get it. Also, Jeremy Luckman onto the field for Finlay Beerlam. Then Tom O'Toole onto the field for Andrew Porter. That one's going to be nicely claimed by the Italians. Juan Inesio Brex fires it off to Garbisi, trying to pierce his way through the defensive line. Rightfully so. Oh no, I read that one. Hamish, who is your crush at the moment? I'd say my beard, because it's going to be absolutely amazing going to it after this 6 a.m. stream. And aren't they taking Keenan off? I think they'd have to. That is going to be another penalty to the Italians. Giacomo Nicotera, he is on. Zimbornin, he is on the field. A lot of changes made by both sides just in that one play. They've decided why not empty the benches. Our subs on. Says Brian, the Italians on the attack. And Blood really likes his, no, my beard. B-E-B-E-D. I think I'll fall asleep instantly in it. Penalty to Ireland, says Coleman, and that's 10 times in 6 months. Ireland have panicked at the line instead of recycling. Getting held up too often, their mistakes on the line. Says Jimbo. It's going to be the yellow card now. Deliberate trip for foul play. Who's that man? I think that's Zimbornin, who's only just been on the field for half a second. And now gets taken off the field for the next 10 minutes. Oh no, it's Minoncello, the midfielder. Just not this part of the game that they need. Yeah, just foot trips them. That's the second time in 2 weeks of the Six Nations that we have seen a foot trip. Oh, 9 and 14, another change is being made. Stephen Varney makes his way from the field. That will be for Martin Pedrello. And also Federico Mori is on the field. My crush is Jason Eaton, says Razor Robinson. And let's go Ireland, says Alex Ramos. Ronan Kelleher. throw this one. And Luke Pearce is loving being out there on the field. You can hear him having a giggle anytime he talks to one of the Irish players. McCrush's Billy Eilish. Says Alex Ramos, and come on Ireland. Says Abadia. Nicely claimed by Ireland. They have got themselves 4 tries throughout this game, 2 of which have come from the rolling maul, which they are once again trying their best to set up. It looks like Craig Casey this time, though. We'll give it back across. Beautiful set play, but unfortunately the ball has dropped out of the hands of Harry Byrne. It's almost his first touch. Alicia Smith, I have no idea who that is. And that trip was very unsportsmanlike. Says Brian, oh dear, these cards always handy for swipe. Harry Byrne, first touch of the day was a drop ball. Okay, the commentators have said that the reason Harry Byrne dropped that ball was because his fingers were cold. Poor boy. I think it was just more of the case he was getting ready to make that next pass rather than keeping that eye on the ball for that little bit longer. Now, Pedrello. To be honest, I would say Margot Robbie is overrated. I think George likes Margot Robbie, one of the other Kiwi lads. It's another penalty at scrum time now. Italy will be able to relieve some of that pressure. They are still inside of their own 22. And who and when? Says Blues Nate. Is that for the yellow card? Because it was Manoncello for the Italians. Gotta be seen now. Get this ball into touch. Only 20 minutes remaining now between these two sides. I will mention anyone who is new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I don't always look this tired, but most of the time we do. At Roald Dahl's house. Thoughts on Jude? Who's Jude? I feel like you're trying to set me up here. Maybe. Now back across to the left-hand side. A means Jude. Bellingham. Why does that name ring such a bell, but I can't think of who it is? Which is really bad. No, I don't. Says Liam. And tripping players in the way to play, just lazy. Says Blues Nate. And come on, Ireland, more points. Italy penalty. Says Brian. Paulo Garbisi. I think he's kicked that ball out on the full. He's disappointed with it. And our poor from Garb. Says Coleman. Now Ian Henderson makes his way onto the field for Ireland. I think that is one of the last subs other than Casey that the Irish can make. There was a very big yawn. I felt like my jaw was going to come off there. Now McCloskey cross to the middle and working towards the 22. I'm Jude. I play centre. Well, I'm sure you're probably not too bad overall. Back across to the right. Henshaw. I think that is Jack Crowley. So they have actually got Harry Byrne and Crowley both still on the field. That is due to that injury that we saw of Hugo Keenan, which hopefully won't be too serious. Back across again. Good low tackle made by Juan Inicio Brex. Craig Casey. That's just dirty from the Italian number 16, Nicotera. He has gone for the kneecaps with not many intentions of wrapping his arms. James Lowe gets over the line and scores the try anyway. But yeah, just rush defence going straight for the kneecaps from Giacomo Nicotera. The Irish don't care though. They've got themselves another try. And Crowley is fullback. Says Coleman. Scoreline is flattering Italy here. I thought this would be a 50-plus scoreline. And what a try, says Jimbo. I'm going to go thanks for the commentary to replay last 20 minutes. Says Ta. Yeah, great attacking run from James Lowe, and then just slams that ball down over the line. Just, or was it a knock on? Thanks for the shout out. Says Liam, no worries. Okay, it's going to be the 5th try. We're considering checking that one by half a minute. Oh, well, they said go low. So I suppose going for the legs is fine, no cards. CCK. Alicia Smith is the world's sexiest athlete, in case you're wondering. I have no idea who she is. What sport does she play? 17 minutes remaining. Crowley now with another kick. This to take the Irish into the 30s. Taking his time. She is a runner athlete. And that one for Crowley has missed away to the right. The score remains at 29 points to 0. And thanks for the shout out. That was an incredible try. He carried 4 of them with him, says Brian. And yeah, just using his strength, James Lowe, to his advantage. Andy Farrell has just finished his water. He's going to need another one. By the way, Alicia Lemon got white cake. I see. Jordan Lama now onto the field. That is for Robbie Henshaw. Down towards the halfway line with a kick from Ireland inside of their 22. Now Capuzio looking to try and counter back for the Italians. This stage, they have not got any tries or any points at the moment. In your thumbnail, why does James Lowe look like Wormtongue from Lord of the Rings? Says CK. Crowley has been very solid overall. So Lama at 13. I think so is how they will play it. I don't really think Calvin Nash would sign to the midfield to put Lama out on the wing. So yeah, I think they would go with him as a centre option. Now offloaded well by the Italians. Speaking of centres, here's Juan Inacio Brex in possession. A little bit of a counter-ruck there from Jack Conan. It is still on the side of the Italians. Capuzio now going back across to Canoni. Looks like he showed a bit of a grimace when he did get wrestled down. Capuzio, nice. Oh, he's just been rearranged. And unfortunately for him, he's knocked the ball on 2 weeks away until Super Rugby kicks off. Busy time for the Kiwi lads. Says Blues Nate. And kicking from Crowley is well off par today. Says John, although it has been a tough day when it comes to kicking, mainly because of that breeze. And also relegation and promotion is needed in the Six Nations. Georgia can't be any worse than Italy. Says Simon. Greg Somerville is much sexier than Alicia. Capuzio getting hit very hard. And they might cover that spread if they can keep Italy from scoring, says Philip. Yeah, at the moment, the way that it sits, they've got a plus 50 points differential after 2 games. And they have conceded the least amount of points out of any side throughout the Six Nations competition, I believe. But Ryan Beard now will be taking a break from this game, and Josh Van den Flair will make his way onto the field to close out the last 15 minutes for the Irish. They are once again in a position to be able to attack with Craig Casey about to feed this ball in. They have still got Jamison Goodson Park to come off the bench as well. We have got the whistle. It's been blown. Free kick taken quickly by the Irish. Now firing it out wide. Chance for Calvin Nash. Cutting back inwards. Almost going through. He's having to run sideways to try and find a gap. She's a 4x400 track field athlete for Germany. Hopefully we can get the points on the board before full time, Mikkel. A good tackle made by Italy. Ball's there for Casey. Very well done by the replacement. I think that was Spagnolo. He tried to go for the turnover, but didn't get it. And the penalty this time actually goes the way of Ireland for that breakdown. 10 green on the clean out. Oh no, 23. It's going to be Jordan Lama, the man who was penalised, and Van der Flair is on. Good substitute at the right time, says Brian. Yeah, it's given him just enough time to, of course, get some minutes in this contest and get a feel for the game again. Of course, you don't want to overwork him because he is going to be such a pivotal player in the Six Nations for the Irish. Can Italy break the 0 that they are sitting on? Do let me know, ladies and gentlemen. Is there going to be a nil for Italy at the end of the game, or can they get points? I'm going to say they can get some form of points. It would be surprising if Ireland were to concede just with how well they have been able to defend, but I think Italy will just have one little play that somehow breaks through and gets them away from the 0 that they are on. One's going to be overthrown though from Italy, so the chance that they just had is kind of gone now. Josh Van den Flair moving up to the halfway line. Good support from Tom O'Toole to help push him those few extra metres. James Lowe rush defence on him by Juan Inacio breaks. Amato trying to get into the breakdown, doesn't get it. And Ireland continues with their forms this year. And July test matches against the Springboks will be a classic one, says Blues Nate. And that will be another Italian penalty. So the Irish discipline in the second half has actually been a lot more lackluster than some would have been after. And I don't know whether or not that is just because there's a bit more fight coming from the Italians when it comes to the breakdown. As Tommaso Allen missed in the Italian side today, Irish rugby fan? I think so. I think that he was one of the best players out there on the field in the game up against England. But then they put Ange Capuzzo back out there. And don't get me wrong, he hasn't been too bad in this game. But, it's just one of those scenarios that I think Tommaso Allen needed to be there from the get-go. Even if it meant that they had to make a couple little rearrangements. Take the 3 Italy, says Razor. They've just lost their own line out again here for Italy. Calvin Nash throwing himself forward at Polo Garbisi. Craig Casey back across to this left-hand side. Jordan Lama has James Lowe on the outside. Puts the grubber in. And they've taken out the touch judge. I think it's a partial knock-on from the Irish. Yes, it is. So will now be the scrum feed. Italy, another scrum feed here. Yeah, James Lowe actually getting taken out. And then in the process, he actually took out the touch judge. And we need a movement of individual brilliance from Italy to get a try. Doesn't look like it though. But with the Italian penalties, maybe, says Brian. And I'd say there's probably another 1 or 2 penalties against Ireland in this half before they end up with that yellow card that could be coming for them. Line-out sets will be interesting, says Jimbo. Yeah, unfortunately for Italy, they started off with that 100%, having 2, and Ireland having 3, and then from there, I think they've probably lost about 3 or 4 of their lineouts. And depth of players coming through Italy Rugby today is a slowly growing 3 to 5 years behind. Will the Crusaders do well this season? Irish rugby fan, I think that they will. At the end of the day, it's not so much what Scott Robinson was able to do for the Crusaders or those big players. It's the coaching as well as the team environment that the Crusaders have. It just looks like they are a very tight-knit group of players, and the academy is looking strong for them as they keep on making their way up into the main team. Did you watch the Japan versus New Zealand games last couple of weeks, Hamish? Says Razor, I have only caught highlights. I would like to watch the full matches again. So I think that will be a plan. That was a knock-on from the Italian number 9. Still playing the advantage, and now the ball will be coming out, and this time Ireland have got themselves the scrum feed. This will use up another minute and a half or so, which will mean that we do see about 8 minutes remaining by the time that the scrum comes out. 4 points, please, says Alex Ramos. The good news about the scrums in this game is they are past the point of giving free kicks. It seems like it is straight to the penalties now. Both sides know that as well, so they can't afford to pre-engage. Craig Casey now. This ball in. Jameson gives him part yet to make his way onto the field here for Ireland. Craig Casey has played the full 71 minutes up till this point. Now going across to the right, Harry Byrne, inside ball to James Lowe. Pins the ears back, finds the offload to the big man Ian Henderson. But Ireland again are on a very quick running line. Oh, that's dropped by Caelan Doris though. They were about to steamroll their way over. And Rugby on YouTube has the full games in HD. Says Was there from Razor Robinson, and let's go Philip. Says Alex Ramos, and need 4, let's go. Says Philip. Irish will push for a scrum penalty here, says Brian, although they had a great attacking run. Just a drop ball from Doris. The penalty this time going to the Italians again. 17 and 18, that is Jeremy Luckman as well as Tom O'Toole, both being penalised. Now BC will be able to put it into touch again. Did Fozzie get a good send-off at the end of his term as the AB's coach, Irish Rugby fan? I feel like as much as people wanted to dislike Ian Foster for the record that he had put together over his last few years as All Blacks coach, like there was still, I want to say, like a majority had that slight mutual respect of, okay, we were pretty harsh on you, but you got us to the Rugby World Cup final. So I feel like they were still like, meh, you know, it was a decent run. Yes, there was a lot of learnings from it, but yeah, like I think he got an all right send-off. 9 carries for James Lowe, 101 metres made, 3 tackle breaks, and 1 try. He is definitely on his way towards a man of the match chance here. And if Jamison Gibson Park comes on, Ireland will score another try minimum. Well, now he makes his way onto the field here. Jamison Gibson Park to replace Craig Casey. And almost, says Brian. And there as well. And Lowe, a best on show today, says Jimbo. Now Italy going to the front of their line-out. Just need to handle the ball a little bit better. They've had a lot of drop balls throughout the second half. And we refer to an XX0 victory as a whitewash, says Stefan. Currently Italy trying to avoid that scenario. Going to be pushed up high. Slap back for Italy. Monticello. It's back out there on the field after foot tripping James Lowe. Currently on the halfway line. Here for the Italians. Josh Van Flaren makes the tackle. It is a loose carry. They still say that it did go backwards. Ball is there for Garbisi to play half. And JGP on. There's Brian. 6.5 minutes remaining now, though. Now trying to go with that little tap inwards once again. Another knock on. I think a majority of this last 10 minutes or so is going to be dominated by scrum feeds. Monticello just trying to force something. He's having a pretty awful game, unfortunately, for him at 12. Wonder whether or not Tommaso Allen or Garbisi could have been that inside centre option. Giving the ball straight back to the Irish. And how do you think Razor will do as AB's coach? As an Irish fan, I am kind of worried. Irish rugby fan. I would say it's going to take time. Like, people who expect changes straight away, I think will be disappointed. Like, you got to give them time to find that squad, to find out what will work. 5:38 a.m. in the morning. Certainly is. The eyes are certainly showing it. Second half has been shocking. Says Coleman. Now, inside ball from Harry Byrne goes across to Jamison Gibson Park, who does the little inside ball. That's a forward pass now from Ireland. So now we've got another scrum, ladies and gentlemen. We have only seen 7 points. In fact, 5 points, I believe, scored. No, sorry, that is a lie. We have seen a little bit more than that. I believe 10 points scored throughout this half, if I am correct. James Lowe is the Six Nations player of the match after the way he has done extremely well. This is a forward's nightmare, says McCall. And second, it's been a great, or hasn't been a great second half. And especially props and hookers. Yeah, it was so fast-paced throughout the first 40 minutes. This last 20 minutes or so, I will be honest, it has dragged mainly because of the resets that we've found ourselves witnessing. This is probably about the 7th scrum in the last 20 minutes of the game. Shows Ireland still don't have a bench to match the starting 15, says Jimbo. Yeah, I think just the handling's been a big letdown. Unfortunately, the lads didn't turn up tonight, says Blues Nate. But the question still remains, can we see... Oh, This time, Ireland penalty. Right, the Irish will be able to kick this one towards the corner here. There we go. Put it into touch by the Irish. It wears you out so much, this amount of scrums. Says McCall, they'll be about 14 or so metres from the try line now. Ronan Kelleher with 3.5 minutes remaining. Surely we see another Irish try, don't we? Definitely with the rolling maul. They've already scored 2 so far off the rolling maul. And this matchup nicely claimed by Ian Henderson. The Italians have really struggled to stop the maul when it starts moving for Ireland, the home side. And the crowd at the Aviva starting to try and let their voices be heard. The penalty advantage in favour of the Irish now. Jameson Gibson Park trying to snipe his way through the defensive line. It is a good low tackle made by the blindside flanker for the Italians. Looks like the ball was almost stolen. Now wide cut out pass goes to Caelan Doris. 3 minutes left. And 4+ says Alex Ramos. And Nash is in. Now wide cut out pass. No, Byrne decides against it. Now it goes to Crowley. Short pass from Gibson Park. Calvin Nash waiting patiently. And he'll score the try in the corner. And that is now going to be the 6th try for the Irish, I believe. We're up to let's go. Do you know I show speed? I have heard of him, of course. I do not know him personally, though. And try says Jimbo. But Nash, he's had 3 caps and he's had 2 tries for the Irish now. And yes, says Philip. Will be a very happy man to see that try. Were you a bit nervous, Philip, with the fact that we only had 2 minutes remaining in this contest for them to get that little bit of an extra boost? Of course, if the Italians manage to score the try now, could change things. And there's a lot of respect for Razor and what he has done so far, but the AB's job is a different, or a country job that brings a lot of attention. Will Razor get the time to implement his vision? Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because he does need time. And good call on the Jameson Gibson Park assist lad, says Jimbo. And yes sir, says Philip. And Munster man Nash, says Simon there. Tough kick from the touchline from Byrne, and he has absolutely nailed it. Down the middle, 90 seconds left on the clock. Try number 5, says Brian. And there as well. Oh no, the commentators have just said the 6th try that has been scored. Calvin Nash and gutted. They missed the first score. I really think they play well. Play with big heart, so unlucky with the scoreboard, says Dick. 5K in the bank, says Alex. Now Jameson Gibson Park going back across to the right-hand side. Crowley now to low. Looks like they're not done as of yet. Big run for the Irish. Caught him high. And it's going to be another penalty. You're buying the points, Alex. And time for one more try, Hamish, if you don't mind. What do you normally eat in the morning and night? Depends on if I've been up all night or if it's just like a normal morning. Like normal morning, probably a banana. It's normally what I go with. But I think after this stream, I'm not going to have any food and I'm just going to go to bed. Because I have to be up in less than 4 hours for work. And not a great performance from Ireland, but happy with the win. Says Manny. Glenn Maxwell is on fire. Yeah, brilliant 100. And that game up against the West Indies. And Italy should play England every week. That's how low Italy's level is. Now, Ronan Kelleher to throw the ball in. Ireland claim their own line out again. They want another try. And they're working towards a good shot on Harry Byrne. Good man. And also, I'm getting a hotel. I'm homeless, says Alex Ramos. Well, luckily, you now have $5,000. If you are telling the truth about your bet. Now, Joe McCarthy back across to Byrne out wide. Jordan Lama keeps the ball in the field of play. Now, Gibson Park goes across again. Crowley has done extremely well to hang on to that ball. Oh, Gibson Park. It's close to being an offside. How many hours do you sleep? I'll get like 2 in between streams. And thank you for your commentary, top work. Says Coleman. Of course, we are going to be back for the next round of the Six Nations. That is in 2 weeks' time. Brilliant counter right there from the Italians. But once again, they have knocked that ball on. Luke Pearce says no. I don't know how he said no in that scenario because it was a clear as day knock on. Stolen now by the Italians. There's the penalty to the Irish. They want to just keep this momentum flowing and keep the scoreboard ticking over. Good luck to the young Welsh team in 2 weeks. Says Simon. The crowd are extremely happy with the decision to go for the corner here for the Irish. Right. How are they going to finish this game? Italy. They could end up being 43-0 down in this game. I think my original prediction was 43-13. And I thought I was being a little bit harsh on the Italians, but turns out I was judging it a little bit too generously towards Italy. Now rolling maul again here for the Irish. 3 more Ireland players joining it. They've been told to use it once. Now they will be doing just that. Jamison Gizabark sells the dummy. Reached out. And they're going to check this one. It's either going to be a knock-on from Jamison Gizabark or it's going to be another try. But I think the Irish may have already had a penalty advantage anyway. And Super Rugby in Six Nations in 2 weeks gone be hectic streams. Says Nate, it is indeed. Plus, like, alongside that, I'm going to a wedding, I think, on the opening day of Super Rugby. So we're going to be balancing everything. We're playing cricket that weekend as well. All that's short for Jamison Gizabark. I think he has fumbled that one. Italy have taken a huge step back after a loss, or last week's performance. Yeah, lost the ball. Jamison Gizabark has dropped it. So it's going to be a no try, a knock on. And that is going to be the end of this contest, ladies and gentlemen. The Irish win the contest 36 points to 0. A dominant win over the Italians who really never showed up for this matchup. Who's getting married? My cousin is. So, yeah, we'll be going to the wedding, popping back to then do the Super Rugby stream, and then leaving extremely early on in the morning to come back here and do some streaming as well as some cricket, I believe, is the plan. There's no try knock on in Italy. I know I read that one, didn't I? Nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, it is going to be the end of this game. 36-0 for the Irish. We are back throughout the week with more cricket live streams. And also next weekend, I believe there is still some rugby that will be taking place. But in 2 weeks' time, it will be the next round of the Six Nations. For anyone wondering who will be playing who, these are the games that are just around the corner. Ireland have got Wales. These are in New Zealand times as well, by the way, ladies and gents. And they are not friendly on the old sleep schedule. Scotland will be playing England. And then France taking on the Italians in the last game of round 3 in the Guinness Six Nations. And thanks for covering, says Dog, and cheers, Hamish. And also, cheers, Hamish, have a good nap. And also, thanks, Hamish, says Gus, and Italy 24, England 27. And also, thanks for the animated commentary. This is for the banana for breakfast, says Franz. Well, thank you very much for your donation, mate. Greatly appreciated. And yeah, I hope you are looking forward to the return of the URC. It is just around the corner. The next time we get to see the South African sides in action. Cousin winning in Kentucky are confusing for attendance on which side of the aisle to sit. And cheers, thanks, says Colin. And also Six Nations going to 6 weeks instead of 7 weeks next year. And thanks, mate, you're a star, says Dennis. Thank you very much, mate. Nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you all for the next one.